To understand how stacks work a little clearer, we're going to write this example web page stack, which will simulate a stack of web pages. So you can go so far, and then you can start to press the back button. After this, we'll have an activity, which will be to create the forward button. But for now, we're going to focus on this program. We've spoken about using stacks in real life. Let's implement one of these ideas. We will use a stack to keep track of our web history and create a program with the following output. So you can see that we have a blank web history when we turn on our computer. We pull up our browser, we check our email, our personal email, we go to YouTube, check the news, and then go to the school's website. We then check that the school, our current stack, what is at the current top of the stack, which is our school's website, and then we say, oh, we're not ready to be on the school website yet, so let's pop a couple, and we end up back to YouTube. So let's take a look at this in action. I have a couple of comments here to demonstrate that this uses the built-in Java's stack, and it uses LIFO, last in, first out. We can only add to the end and remove from the end. Remember, we can't grab from certain positions, it's always the end in a stack. Last in, first out. This will simulate the browser's back or undo functionality. Let me minimize those, and we will get started by creating our stack. So we can say stack web pages equals new stack, just like that. We then have to import this in. This is based on the util package. You can see stack right here. You could also do this. Just going to leave it for stack as stack for now. Let me bring these down so my comments don't open every time. Okay, so I am going to make this a stack of type string, just to make this a little more strict, so we can't add anything but strings to this. So first of all, let's run this just to prove it works. Of course, nothing happens because all we have is a blank web page stack. Let's see what our stack contains right now. So we can say before opening our browser, our stack looks something like this. It's just an empty stack. There's nothing in there. So let's say we turned on our PC, we opened our browser, and now we want to start pushing things onto the stack. We can do that by taking our stack web pages using period, and you can see many of the methods listed from the PowerPoint and many more. We are going to use push, and we are going to push some websites onto our stack. So let's push myworkemail.com, which is my work email. Push that onto the stack, run it, nothing happened. But did something happen? Well, let's take a look. Let's print our stack. My work email is now on the stack. Let's push something else onto the stack. How about my personal email? Now, if this was my work email, where do you think my personal email would go if I added it after my work email? The answer would be at the end of the stack. Right? Last in, first out means whatever you put on goes on top, and if we were to remove something, this would be the first thing removed. The last thing added is the first thing removed. Let's continue to add some things here. Let's say after checking our email, we go to YouTube. After YouTube, we check the news. And after the news, we check the school website. So here's our stack, and you can see the order in which it was added is the order in which it is presented to us here. So let's put push elements onto the stack, print stack. Okay, so that is our stack so far. Let's add a little message here that says today's history so far. So before opening our browser, then here's today's history so far. After this, what we can do is let's peek and see what website we are currently on. So we can say peeking at current page. So let's see where we currently are, and that would just be our stack.peek. Peek looks at the object at the top of the stack without removing it. Peeking at the current web page is ccac.com. If I removed two of these right here, then peeking at the current web page would be YouTube, because peek will check the top of the stack, the last thing added. Okay, So let's say we're back here. So we are on the school's website. Let's say we're not ready to be on the school's website. We're not ready to get to work or get to our assignment or whatever we're doing. Instead, we want to press the back button and go back before we start working. So not ready to work yet. Let's go back a couple of pages and watch some more YouTube. So in order to go back a couple of pages, you'd press the back button, right? In order to do that, let's visualize it by saying popping webpages.pop. And when we do this, it says popping CCAC. If I take this, you can see that CCAC was, let me pull this up. CCAC was the last element of the stack. Once I popped it, news.com is now the last element. So let's pop again. Popping. So it popped CCAC, it popped news, meaning our current page is YouTube, because we popped the last element twice, which took us back to YouTube, which does simulate pressing that back button, getting us back there. So with that, let's then do this again and say peeking at current page. Do we need a backline? Let's see. Okay, so we open our browser, we load all the websites, we see that we're on the school website, we go back a couple by popping, and then we see that we are back to YouTube. And that, again, is simulating the back button. So let's print the current stack after popping. We can do that by just saying, let's see, current stack is web pages. There it is. The last one is the one we are sitting on right now, and we can see that by the peak. Okay, so in a real web browser, you can also press forward. So say if I wanted to go back to YouTube up here, like we did, well, I went back too far, right? I popped YouTube. I want to press the forward button to go back to it. In our current state of our program, we can't do that. We don't have a forward button implemented, but we are actually going to implement one in an activity. In the next video, I will give you the activity prompt, and then one after that, I will give you the solution. But if you want to give it a go, try to do that. So web browsers also use stacks to implement this feature. There would be additional method called forward to the undo or redo, right? So we could implement this by storing our popped elements in an array. Think about that. We could store whatever we pop in its own stack or array, and then save those in case we need to get them back. That's what we're going to do in the next video, so look out for that.